Welcome, 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 welcome.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you. Just enjoying this Saturday.
Great, great, guys. So, welcome to Talent Talk with our lovely guest we have. I will give you the opportunity to introduce yourself. So, avons le plaisir d'avoir notre invité de ce soir. So, would you do us the honor to introduce yourself this evening so people can find out more about yourself?
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Carina Rodriguez. I am a football consultant. I am originally from Quito, Ecuador, though for the past almost 10 years, I have been living in different countries, in the United States for a long time, and then in the United Kingdom. And I just moved to Spain, to Madrid, a couple of weeks ago.
Wow, amazing. So as you know, our audience is French and English, so we're gonna be able to get them all going. Donc, nous avons le plaisir d'avoir notre invitée Carina qui a eu à passer des séjours dans plusieurs places. Elle a commencé aux États-Unis, elle a vécu en Angleterre, elle a aussi, maintenant pour le moment, elle est à Madrid, en Espagne. Donc, elle a fait ce qu'on appelle consultancy, comme gérance du côté de foot et elle a vraiment beaucoup à nous donner. So Miss Carina, you do us the pleasure, and it's always good when we find female that are into the world of sport because they can give us a different perspective, because sometimes we don't want to give an idea of sport when it's always male oriented. So I think we're gonna really enjoy it. We normally have what we call an icebreaker. Icebreaker is when we really try to put you at ease and really trying to get into that as much as possible. Ooh, okay. So let's give you a little taster of what I will start. Maradona or Pele?
Pele, no questions.
Not even a debate or anything else.
No, straight up.
Wow. Okay. Guardiola or Mourinho?
Guardiola.
Huh?
I'm gonna say Jurgen Klopp, but if it has to be between those two, I'm gonna go Guardiola.
Why Guardiola?
I believe that he has a very charismatic way of playing football. You know, he's a very smart man, of course. His teams generally are very attractive. You know, play a very attractive style, but also deliver results. You know, we're in an era where it's not just about playing a melodic football, it's about getting a result. And I think that he combines both quite well. He's achieved a lot of success in his career as a manager, but I also believe that he's able to build sustainable projects, you know, in the clubs that he's been at. So I do believe he's a very, very smart manager, and yes, I would consider him one of the best in the world for sure.
Fantastic. So if we go for the younger generation now, because sometimes the older generation won't know. I won't really say young generation. So let's compare Didier, Drogba, or Thierry Henry.
I think Thierry Henry, probably.
I'm putting in a bit of a equation. You gotta think about it. Why would you pick Thierry Henry more than Didier Drogba?
Well, I believe that I have watched Thierry Henry a lot more throughout his career. Drogba, I have watched, and I have watched some of the incredible goals that he scored. But Thierry Henry, I saw him at many different clubs. I saw him at Barcelona. What he did there was amazing. I worked for Major League Soccer for a while, and I was able to see him, you know, transition to North America, first as a player, then as a manager. So I think I feel more connected with his journey as a footballer, as a manager, because I've seen it a lot more. But, you know, Drogba, of course, what an amazing player. You know, he held the record for the most goals by an African player until in the Premier League until, you know, a few days ago that Mo Salah took that. But just an incredible footballer that really left a legacy, I think, for African footballers in Europe, in England, but in Europe as a whole.
Fantastic. And my last one is going to be the battle of the captains. Yeah. I want to give you different choices. So you're not going to have two. You're going to probably going to have, let's say, three or four. So you have one, Roy Keane. Two, Steven Gerrard. Three, Patrick Vieira. And who else can we bring? Sergio Ramos. I want you not to class them from the bottom to the top. Who will be your top captain? Who will be at the bottom? Who's fourth? Who's third? Who's second? Who's first? So let me remind you. So you have Stevie G, Steven Gerrard. You have Roy Keane. You have Patrick Vieira. And you have Sergio Ramos. Rank them according to your choice.
Well, if I were, leading a squad and I need to find my captain, I would go Stevie G. I'm a Liverpool fan, as probably you could tell by some of my answers.
That gave me a disclaimer. I would have taken Stevie G out.
No. He I think is a legend for England, for Liverpool, but also like a big character. A person that can lead a team. And I went to uni in Liverpool, so that city holds a very special place in my heart, as well as the club. So he would be my top choice. I would go Patrick Vieira second. And, the third is kind of a debate. I have seen all of the things that Sergio Ramos have done with Real Madrid, with the Spanish national team, and really admire that. So it's kind of like a tie, because Roy Keane as well, great legacy. So I don't know. He dislocated Salah's shoulder. So I'm going to have to put him at bottom and Roy Keane at top. But yeah, I haven't really thought about this much, who my captain would be if I would be leading a team.
Wow, fantastic. So to help our French audience, on a fait ce qu'on appelle les icebreakers. Donc, on pose nos invités chaque fois des questions bases pour les relaxer et les aider de se concentrer sur l'émission. On a parlé demander s'il peut classifier ses meilleurs capitaines. Donc, on a choisi entre Steven Gerrard, on a choisi entre Roy Keane, Patrick Vieira et Sergio Ramos. Donc, sa préférence commence par Gerrard, après il va aller sur Vieira et il ira avec Sergio Ramos et il ira avec Roy Keane et termine avec Sergio Ramos. Donc, ça montre ses préférences et il est vraiment influencé par Guardiola. S'il pouvait choisir entre Guardiola et Mourinho. So, I hope that made you a bit more relaxed. So, you get to start with us. So, we have the theme today is sports centered around results or people. So I want you to obviously tell us a little bit about your background as a consultant, how you came about that, and also tell us the people who influence you before we kick into what we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah, of course. So first of all, I like this format because I love languages. I only speak English and Spanish, but I'm trying to learn new things, and I'm happy that you're able to provide some insights for the French speaking audience. I don't understand it, but it's lovely to have a bilingual show going on. Well, I currently work as a consultant with various clients. My main role is with FIFA, where I work supporting the technical department in a project that we call the Global Ecosystem Analysis. And basically what we have been doing for almost 2 years now has been analyzing the ecosystem of football in different countries. So we have more than 200 member associations that are participating. And we are conducting an analysis of 6 areas. So we look at their competitions, both senior and youth, national teams, youth development strategies, management and resources development, at their coach education, and also at their talent identification. So basically, these are the components that FIFA believe are very important to develop a football ecosystem that produces the best talent. So we are looking at what each country does in those areas, considering their specific situations. We look at both male and female football, and we are trying to provide an overview of what's going on, as well as recommendations to improve. So, for example, there's many countries around the world where youth competitions are not particularly strong. When a player starts in the game at age, 11, 12, 13, they do not have very good playing opportunities. They do not have regular play. They do not have enough training days, enough match days to fully, develop. So we believe that many countries could improve in that area. We also see that in many regions of the world, the coach education is not accessible or is not very comprehensive. So providing recommendations to help each country reach their full potential is basically the whole goal of this project. And of course, understanding that every country has a reality of their own, right? So if we say, okay, Belgium are very successful at youth development, France are fantastic at it. How did they do it? How can we do it? It's not a matter of just copying the model of a different nation, because we know that the resources available are different, the culture is different, the physical attributes of the players might be different. So we try to understand the ecosystem and then provide, support that is suited for that specific country. And we are coming to the end of the analysis. So we're basically now providing all of the reporting and recommendations. And next year, countries will be able to participate in a global project that is going to be all around talent development, and where FIFA will provide them expertise and guidance and resources to actually take these recommendations and bring them to life, with the goal of helping, talent develop in a holistic way, in a structured way, and we hope in a very long-term and sustainable way.
Wow, so much to take in, and I've got so many little nuggets to kind of invade into that. So for our French audience, Carina travaille avec la FIFA et son rôle, c'est vraiment d'analyser et de faire des rapports et des recommandations sur les plusieurs régions, pays du monde, en regardant des objectifs comme le développement des talents. Et il a parlé comment c'est aussi d'aider chaque région, chaque pays à connaître comment atteindre leurs objectifs et aussi confronter les réalités, parce qu'il a montré comment que ce qui marche pour peut-être un pays n'avait pas déjà marché pour les autres. Et comme il a dit, ils ont presque fini leurs analyses du projet qu'ils avaient et ils doivent faire des rapports et des recommandations, parce que l'année prochaine, il y a un grand projet que la FIFA veut faire avec plusieurs pays pour les aider comment à développer les talents. One of the greatest things that I won't say one of the greatest thing, one of the things that is intriguing or something I'm trying to figure out, working for FIFA, is it like do you ever sit down and be like, wow, how did I get here? Because it's such a powerful organization that also have to deal with relation with a different kind of regional government bodies, like for example, like the UEFA, like the CAF, the African. You've also got the South America. How have you find that based on your role on how everything goes? Because I know you're talking about the more complex stuff that you do, but let's say you go to primary school, as soon as you mention FIFA, the kids are like, wow. So how do we really dive into that to really your experience has been in terms of seeing how FIFA has the relation with different bodies that govern different kind of regions?
Right. No, first of all, to answer your first question, at the beginning, yes, it was very exciting and a little bit like hard to believe. When I first started, I work as a consultant, so I'm not based in Zurich. But for the beginning of the project, we were invited to go to a training session there. So, yeah, I was living in Liverpool. I flew to Zurich, and just being there just hit me. I was like, wow, this is really the most excited I've been in a while. The head of our project is Arsene Wenger. So he was there for our training, and a bunch of other people from FIFA who have incredible careers in football. Some as visible as Arsene, others that work more behind the scenes in the technical side. But just being able to listen to their stories and learn about, their careers and all of the knowledge that they're able to share, I was so excited. And I think that throughout this project, it has been an incredible learning experience, because not only having the opportunity to speak with, managers and people who have worked in developing strategy in football for a long time, or former footballers, but also speak with the federations, the staff at different countries who tell you, in our country, we live football this way, our competitions are like this, the fans behave this way. It's been really a learning opportunity. I work with 13 countries in all 5 confederations. And football is so different. I work with Paraguay in South America, and I work with Singapore, and I work with Sierra Leone in Africa. So really vastly different countries, and to learn about what football means to them and how they handle their federation, it has been really, really amazing. The pandemic, unfortunately, made it fully remote. So our job has been interviewing, gathering data, analyzing, writing, done online. If it weren't for the pandemic, ideally we would have been visiting the countries for a few days to get familiar with, the people, the environment. And that, of course, I believe would have been a lot better. But still, this way, it's been really, really eye-opening,
Wow, it just shows that you have, as much as you keep it so humble, but you have so much responsibility and so many. I would say, although it's a job, it's almost like an opportunity to visit the world and experience so many things. So, for our French audience, le travail qu'elle a avec FIFA la permet de visiter plusieurs pays. Comme il a dit, il a travaillé avec Singapour, avec le Paraguay, et à cause de Covid, confinement, tout ce qui s'est passé, ça fait que beaucoup de travaux qu'ils font, comme d'analyser, de prendre des recherches, tout devait se faire vraiment avec sur soit les réseaux sociaux ou bien soit utilisation de meetings virtuels pour essayer de faire le travail qu'elle fait. Mais ce qu'elle a parlé, c'est l'important. Travailler pour FIFA au début était vraiment quelque chose très, on peut dire beaucoup d'émotions, parce que c'est une grande organisation, et elle faire partie de cette organisation, c'est vraiment un, comment on dit en anglais, achievement, donc quelque chose qu'elle a vraiment achevé de bien dans sa vie. Salutations à Gédéon Makita, qui nous regarde du Congo, et le frère Ike Balé, je vois Wivin et tout le monde. I see a lot of people that are coming in. Don't forget, when you come in, send us your flag so that we can acknowledge who you are, and people that are watching. Thank you again. We are here with Carina as much as possible. So we're gonna push on just a little bit. We always do this. We ask generic questions because we're moving. With everything that's going on, 2 questions gonna come back to back. 1, how do you balance your life? The reason we ask is because every guest always give us different answer, and you also help someone to say, hey, the way you're busy, everything going on, maybe you cook, or maybe you are into sport or going dancing or learning a class, you want to be able to know, how do you balance everything that comes around Karina's life?
That is an excellent question, and I think that all of us need to ask ourselves that a lot, especially these days, because I think with the pandemic, we got used to a different rhythm of life. I think that either people were trying to occupy every second so they weren't feeling down, or they got used to having a lot of time, and now that we've kind of going out of that period, it's hard to manage your time. I certainly work a lot, I believe. I was just talking to one of my good friends today about that, and talking about the importance of getting your work done, and you know, hustling, and working towards your goals, but also taking care of yourself. I love cooking. That is a good one. I really enjoy just making, you know, regular meals for me, for my friends, for my family. I do like working out. So yoga is one of my favorite things. Going to the gym, playing tennis when I can find someone to play with. Those are things that I love.
Mhm.
And going for walks. So I recently moved to Madrid, and it is such a beautiful city. Coming from England, just having like blue skies every day, it feels so nice. So going for a walk, maybe listening to a podcast, listening to some music. I really like that. And also sometimes having some alone time. I do think I'm an extrovert, so I love talking, and being with friends and asking questions. But sometimes I think that to recharge and really feel energized after maybe a hard week or something, I like taking some time to write, like to journal, to just, I don't know, think about things that have happened, just reflect, read, write, maybe watch some, you know, shows, but just taking some alone time to just, you know, gather my thoughts, and go again next week.
Wow, amazing, amazing. On a demandé à Karine comment elle arrive à balancer sa vie. Elle a parlé comment elle aime préparer, et elle dit toujours comment savoir balancer avec des activités qu'elle fait comme le sport, et quand elle a le temps, aller à la gym, elle fait un peu du yoga et beaucoup de choses. This is a question from Afrique Actuelle. They're based in South Africa, watching us. There was a great partner, another extension of our family. They say, we would like to know if FIFA will bring football again in Africa. So they're trying to say, I think the question they're asking is that after, is it the 2010 World Cup that
Mm-hmm.
happened in South Africa? Will FIFA ever plan again to bring back again maybe the World Cup again, or is it based on the bidding that African nation present to FIFA? How does it work? Help us to understand, because does FIFA decide on the amount of people that bid, or what is the process, so that people can really understand how it works?
I think that something that FIFA has been focusing on in the recent times is to really make football global, right? So for many years, we know it's been very European centric, South American as well, considering, you know, the football tradition there. But just hosting World Cups in other continents as well has been a priority. Asia happened, you know, already 20 years ago almost.
Yes.
South
South Korea.
Africa. Now
Yeah.
there's going to be the Middle East in Qatar. So and well, it's coming to the United States, Mexico, and Canada afterwards. So I believe that for 2030, it really could be in any of the continents. I think that in terms of the bids, there is definitely certain requirements for the countries to meet, of course, in terms of infrastructure and investment, and the government needs to really collaborate with that. But I think that putting up a bid is a big commitment, and some countries might feel that, you know, the economic impact might not really be worth it. So I think that's what's really keeping some countries that would be wonderful hosts probably from doing it. But now also we hear a lot about joint bids. So
Yes.
for example, a joint bid between, I keep hearing maybe Portugal and Spain, right? So
Mhm.
two nations that both have a big football tradition, that have stadiums, but maybe on their own. At least Portugal probably wouldn't be a host that can provide all that is needed. So I think that there is definitely the possibility that the World Cup could go back to Africa. I do believe that certain conditions need to be in place. And also, we all absolutely love football and we're so passionate about it. And what a pride and joy to have it in our country. But sometimes it really might not be the best thing for the country. You know, the country might not be ready yet
Yeah.
to host it. So that's something I think that is always important to remember.
Fantastique. Sauf en French audience, depuis que l'Afrique a eu le privilège de organiser la Coupe du Monde en Afrique du Sud depuis 2010, la question posée par Afrique actuelle, est-ce que la FIFA planifie de remettre encore la Coupe du Monde dans un continent africain? Alors, notre invité a bien expliqué pour dire qu'il y a plusieurs choses qui se passent pour avoir la capacité d'organiser un événement comme la Coupe du Monde. C'est pourquoi elle a dit que beaucoup de pays commencent à faire des collaborations pour organiser comme la Coupe du Monde. Donc, deux pays viennent en collaboration pour travailler comme l'Espagne et le Portugal. Il a parlé comment on a eu la Coupe du Monde en Asie, en Corée du Sud. On aura aussi la Coupe du Monde à Qatar et peut-être après ça ira encore aux États-Unis. Peut-être dans les 2030, il peut avoir l'opportunité pour avoir une Coupe du Monde dans le continent africain. Mais elle a bien parlé pour dire que le pays qui se présente pour demander la capacité d'organiser comme un événement pareil, doit aussi avoir toutes les infrastructures, donc tout ce qui est nécessaire pour le faire. This is absolutely amazing. I've got two questions coming in because I know someone like Arsene Wenger, who's well known in the world of football, they've been not arguing, but presenting ideas on how to reform yes, there's another question coming. It's going to come into because there's more question coming up. My question first. So with people like Arsene Wenger trying to make the World Cup instead of 4 years to be coming in more regular, obviously I'm not going to ask you what is your views because everybody is not much important about the views. But for me, I'm trying to say, do you see in the near future maybe FIFA, because you know in the World Cup you have maybe 48 teams, 36 teams. Is there a way that we can spread the amount of teams equally? Because sometimes I feel like if European nation have 19, it's very rare, not rare, but it does always happen that most European nation are the one that's always more favorite to win. So for example, if there's 48 places available, can Africa get maybe 10? Can South America, because South America, for example, they only go 5 candidates that goes to the World Cup. So when you actually see the ratio is divided, there's something also that FIFA is maybe thinking to really make it more challenging because African nation have not won it yet. South American nation, yeah, you have teams like Brazil, Argentina, but when the ratio increases, don't you think it's going to increase the competition? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Guys, if you can hear me, just let me know, please. Yeah, we can't hear you. I think everybody's talking. They can't really hear you. Yeah,
Can you hear me? Can you hear
yes, we
me?
can hear you now. Perfect.
Oh, no, I don't know what happened, but okay. Yes, I believe it is a very hot topic, as you say. Some people agree, some people disagree. I think that one of the main goals of FIFA is to make it more competitive, you know. now more than ever, we know that so many countries want to do better, right, in competitions. And we know that competition really is what drives a lot of associations to be active in football. I work with many countries whose youth national teams, for example, are only active around competitions. So when you would want the teams to be working every year to give players a born in every year, the opportunity to develop, they do not. They only do it ahead of competitions because of the resources, because maybe that's how it's been done for a long time. So one of the priorities is to increase playing opportunities and high-level playing opportunities for countries around the world, to give more of a chance, like you say, for smaller nations or for nations in areas, in regions that are not necessarily the traditional, title winning countries to compete. As you say, for example, South America, yes, CONMEBOL only has 10 members, which is, a fifth or less of what UEFA has. So they do only get 4 spots, and then one gets, the opportunity to play, a play-in game and qualify if they win. But we always talk about that in South America, about how challenging it is, I am from Ecuador, and I'm very proud of our national team, but we do need to show our A game every single time if we want to make it to the World Cup, because the competition is not easy. When Germany became, the first team to qualify for the World Cup to secure their spot, it was a great achievement. But also, if you look a little bit at the opposition that they get, it isn't really an opposition that is going to challenge them. So I feel like a lot of countries in Africa, in South America, probably feel the same way. So certainly, I believe that coming up with a proposal that increases playing opportunities, not necessarily World Cup every 2 years, not necessarily a World Cup with 60 participants, but just a format that increases high-level international opportunities, it will benefit. It will benefit football development around the world. And one thing that keeps coming back to my mind is how in football, and I was just speaking about this with a national team manager last night, people are quite hesitant to change. We love our tradition. We love the way things have been done forever. We love the essence of the game, and everything that we feel threatens the essence of the game, we are automatically against. And I think that sometimes it is important to remember that football is a tradition, that football has been around for a really long time, but also to know that there's things that have become obsolete and that we have the knowledge now and the data and the resources and the expertise to improve it. So we need to be open enough to embrace those changes.
Wow, I love that because you're able to be sincere about the reality that what FIFA has achieved and what they can be able to do. Donc, pour notre audience francophone, on a demandé, est-ce que, comme il y a beaucoup de suggestions qui sont données, par exemple par la FIFA, qui ont donné la suggestion de pouvoir organiser la Coupe du Monde chaque 2 ans au lieu de 4 ans, ma question était, est-ce que FIFA peut réarranger un peu leur système de travaux, comment les équipes se qualifient pour la Coupe du Monde pour qu'on puisse avoir encore beaucoup de participation des autres pays comme en Afrique et tout. I think there's one person that's trying to come in. Let's see, Sanchez, you coming from Spain, so we're gonna see if we got a question for you coming up. There's still more question. Alors, sa réponse était vraiment que avec tout ce qui se passe, ça va aider. Mr. Sanchez, bear with us 2 seconds pendant qu'on fait. Donc, ça va permettre beaucoup de gens partout, comme par exemple en Amérique du Sud et en Afrique, là où la compétition est tellement sévère pour les pays de se qualifier. Mais on voit en Europe, beaucoup de grands pays se qualifient pendant qu'ils gagnent dans des groupes qui n'ont pas vraiment beaucoup d'opposition. So we have Mr. Sanchez from Spain. Such a pleasure. English, French, which way you're comfortable?
Whatever you want.
Before you speak us all
Then
out.
French, definitely.
French, Spanish, English. I mean.
All right, no worries. Can you ask your question and contribution for the show?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what's your question? Would you like to ask your contribution?
The question is like talking about the youth football talent players in this moment. As the market is going more higher than higher, it's not coming like passion, like the old football is coming like more business. So what can we do to change this attitude from the young players to develop more faster and to grow up normally? Nothing about like just about business, just think about like playing football and just keep going up. Is the question. And what can we do for that? Like.
Okay, Mr. Carina, I hope you heard the question. Donc, for the French audience, la question de l'un des audiences est que comment on peut réformer ou changer la mentalité de la jeunesse qui est en train de croître là où le sport est basé sur, c'est comme un monde de célébrités au lieu du travail et du sport. So how can we change that thinking for the upcoming generation?
Well, it is a great question, and I don't think I have the solution, because this is something that, like you say, it's trending or it's becoming ever so common in football for younger athletes to become more involved in the business side and such. I believe that, you know, when an athlete is developing, when a person is developing and is young, you know, if you're a teenager, your mind is not fully developed, right? So you really rely a lot on the people that surround you. So I think it is very important for the support system that these players get to have people that ground them, you know, either can be their parents, either can be their coaches, people at the, you know, their teams, their academies, to help them focus on the things that really matter at that age, that I don't believe is necessarily just football and just playing. It's a lot about developing themselves as people, enjoying their lives, becoming more self-aware, developing character, learning to regulate their emotions, motivation, all of those things, mental strength, mental toughness, hard work, ethics. I think that just having people that can provide guidance towards that is really important. And also, I do believe that, you know, in terms of safeguarding and all of the rules and procedures that keep, for example, football agents to reach out to very young athletes, I think that those need to be strengthened. A lot of times there's ways around that. So I think that it is important that we consider that. We have a big audience in Africa, like you mentioned, and I believe that one of the best projects for developing young talent and great human beings is in Africa, is the Right to Dream Academy in Ghana, which I really admire. I found out about their work through one of my professors in Liverpool. And since then, I have been trying to learn more about what they do and how they started and their model. And they focus specifically on character development. You know, they work with young boys and now girls in Ghana. And they want them to develop first as people and then as athletes, right? So yes, they train, and yes, they have good coaches, and yes, they play in competitions, but they also have leadership sessions. They also have art sessions. They also go to school and study different subjects. They're able to travel to different countries, you know, to play, but also to learn a little bit about the culture. So I think it's a lot about focusing on the holistic development, right? And trying to make these young people develop an identity further than just the footballer, right? Because I think that way they will be able to process things better. I think that if you are a young athlete, of course you dream of the highest levels, you know, to play in the World Cup, to play in the Champions League. But you also need to realize that that is not your full life. And it's very hard to realize this, or to help them realize this, but that there's other important things that you need to focus your energy on. And I think about that, you know, just having resources that help them find a balance is crucial.
Wow, amazing. Pour notre audience francophone, l'un des invités du membre qui regarde l'émission a posé comment on peut changer la mentalité de la jeunesse qui est en train de grandir et de monter pour se focaliser que leur mentalité soit sur le sport au lieu du succès qu'il faut. Il a parlé comment c'est très important que les gens puissent savoir comment avoir ce qu'on appelle le développement personnel. Il a parlé des organisations comme The Right to Dream in Ghana, donc la volonté de rêver qui se trouve au Ghana. Il a été vraiment touché par les œuvres qu'ils font parce que ils ont cette organisation qui aide les jeunes de jouer, d'entrer dans le sport, mais aussi on les aide avec le développement des caractères. Donc on essaie de leur montrer que d'abord nous sommes des humains avant d'être des athlètes. Donc à part le développement du côté sport, mais il y a aussi des sessions de leadership, il y a des sessions de jeu, de beaucoup de choses pour les permettre de savoir que oui, vous pouvez aspirer à faire beaucoup de choses, mais il faut aussi savoir qu'à part ça, il y a une vie qui se passe et il y a beaucoup de choses qui se passent. So fantastic. I know that there's a couple of requests that's been kind of sent, but with time we do have a lot. So there's a couple of questions back to back. What is the plan for FIFA for the development football in Africa continent? I know you touched on the right to dream for Ghana, but what are other maybe micro scheme that maybe FIFA is already introducing, like in Africa, to develop football? But also, how is FIFA? I know sometimes FIFA doesn't like to get into political thing, but how do they work with countries? Because you mentioned about countries to develop the love of sport. Because most time you have a lot of player who plays in European nation where they go to represent their country. Most time it's like they even have to fund themselves. They almost have to pay for people because there's always countries where sport is not really structured, so obviously they're not really prepared, so that's why sometimes it affects how players going to play. So how is FIFA also looking into having a better relation with maybe government to ensure that whether it's national team or local team, they are properly equipped to be in a standard where players can now focus on football instead of maybe looking at issue, for example, financial issue or boycotting and all these things. I don't know if my question is making sense.
No, yeah. So I work in a team of 2 people, so we're divided in small teams, and unfortunately I only have one African country, so that is not the region that I've been focusing on. So I don't have a lot of knowledge about the ongoing projects. I know that FIFA has what we call regional technical consultants for every confederation. So for Africa, there is 1 or 2 people that are on site that act as liaisons between FIFA and the different federations. And I know that they have multiple ongoing projects. A lot of them are based around coach education. So basically having experts from different regions of the world that work with FIFA as instructors go to different African countries and provide, seminars and education for the staff at the federation, as well as for, youth coaches and such, which is usually very well attended, and a lot of people are, keen to learn. So that is generally a very positive. I have a colleague that she told me about a project that she was leading in Africa last year that was about women's football. So about working with a government to develop competitions in schools. So with the support of FIFA, the federation, and the government, develop competitions so that girls have an outlet, a place to start playing. So I think those are two ongoing things. And finally, regarding what you ask, the money, right, the resources and the support so that players can actually develop better. So FIFA, the way that provides support to countries, mainly is through different programs. Probably the most famous one, and the one that gives a lot of resources to countries, is called FIFA Forward. So that one, what it tells you is that, as a nation, you should play this amount of games with your national team, and you should have certain requirements met, and then you will receive funds every year that you will be able to use for competitions, for national teams, for equipment, for infrastructure and such. So that is the way that it provides support. And then the federation usually has relationships, right, with the government. Some federations are more open to collaborating with the government and getting support, while others maybe do not have the best relationship. But that is something that generally FIFA is not really involved.
Yeah. That's absolutely amazing. Donc, on a posé la question comment FIFA essaie de travailler pour avoir une bonne relation avec le gouvernement pour s'assurer que le fonds ou bien tout ce qui est donné financièrement est bien utilisé pour permettre que le joueur puisse bien s'exprimer. On voit beaucoup de cas, là on a vu comme d'exemples comme des Adebayo et des autres joueurs qui jouent à l'étranger. Quand ils viennent jouer dans leur pays local, ils ont toujours des difficultés, soit du côté financier ou du côté des structures. Alors, elle a bien parlé pour dire que FIFA a déjà des gens placés qui s'occupent pour chaque région pour comprendre la culture du continent, la culture de chaque région et essayer de s'assurer qu'il y a assez de training ou bien on appelle ça quoi, des hôteliers, donc de programmes qui aident à éduquer, à soutenir et à pousser, par exemple, qui encourage les filles dans le monde du sport, du foot, qui aussi permet aussi aux jeunes coachs ou entraîneurs d'émerger et d'être établis. Alors là, il faut aussi considérer que il y a des fonds qui sont donnés à chaque fédération ou bien au pays pour permettre qu'ils soient au niveau nécessaire pour être compétent dans soit du côté national ou local. Mais là, parlé aussi que ce n'est pas tout gouvernement qui a une bonne relation avec les fédérations. Donc, il y a beaucoup de choses. Alors, FIFA n'entre pas vraiment en profondeur pour ça. I like that the way you've answered, obviously, because these are some of the stuff that sometimes maybe because FIFA doesn't make a lot of noise into that, so they're kind of seen just as that global organization that hosts events, but apart from that, they're not really. But it's good to see that you're able to show us that they are really, really involved in different regions and playing a major part. That's why we see that when there's a competition like the World Cup is really celebrated all over the world because they've been around. So which is also good. A couple more questions. I think there's a question from Gospel Music Voice, who's another big platform that also work with us. They say, what is FIFA plan for racism in football? I know there's always talk about it. Some players decided to walk out or they decided to ban some nation. But I want to spin this question. It's not what is FIFA response to racism, but because this is not something new. It's always been around. But take us through the journey. How has FIFA been able to cope with the journey of how racism has been and how they've combated and how they, because obviously with social media now you have obviously online bullying and all these things happening. So how has FIFA been able to be consistent in supporting key things like racism? And yeah.
Well, I believe that first of all, FIFA's official position is, of course, to not have any tolerance to this, right? Like, this is something that, like you say, is nothing new in football, but it's something that has no place in football. And we need to really show a strong position. You know, when an incident takes place, there needs to be bans, you know, like when England players were recently allegedly abused during the match and such, the host nation was suspended. You know, they weren't able to host fans in their home games and such.
Yeah.
So those type of sanctions, I do think that show that it is unacceptable. I believe that in terms of individuals that are proved to have shown this type of behaviors, to ban them from football is the right thing to do. But if you ask me, for my opinion, I think that there's fairly different ways that we need to address this in the long term. First of all, diversity and representation in football, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch. We need more voices in the boards, in the federations, in the decision-making tables. You know, we need to normalize the fact that people of color are there, women are there, people of different parts of the world are there, people with different backgrounds, different upbringings. I think that that is a way that we can fight racism, because we are making decisions considering the reality and the, you know, background of people of different parts of the world, of different realities. Another thing I think is really important is just educating people about, you know, different things that might contribute to racism behavior. I think that it's not a matter of teaching you, oh no, this is not okay, you don't say this thing or you don't say that, but teaching you about the history of different countries, about the culture, about the background of people, just creating a conversation that is more open, that would lead to you just having a wider view of the world, right? Not being so European centric, or not being so centered around, you know, I know in the United States, when I lived there, it's very American centric, the way that people live and such. So it's about education, in my opinion. It's about representation. It's about I think starting with those type of programs about education and such when people are young. And also when it comes to sanctioning racism, I think that we need to remain strong. You know, we need to show that there's no place for this in football, and that FIFA and other, you know, football stakeholders will have no tolerance to something like that.
Wow, I like your answer, because gospel music, I've said also, closing stadiums sometimes is not the answer, because many countries, England, France, Germany, they have money. But I like what you just said, because again, it's not just about providing the fund, but just showing how we can set up education program to help understand culture, because sometimes even certain thing that leads to racism is also because of lack of understanding culture, and certain things that might not be offensive to you might be very offensive to others. So we have a lot of things, but it's good to see that the message has always been clear, irrespective of how time have changed and technology. FIFA has always been able to kind of combat the issue of racism, and also making sure that people understand diversity and culture. So I know we're reaching towards the end. I hope you've been enjoying it where you are. The question has been flowing. as you get towards the end, Karina, I want you to do me the pleasure and the honor to just be like a Martin Luther King. If you can close your eyes with that great speech, I have a dream. You know, I want you to vision 2030, 2040, 2050. How does the world of sport look for you? How do you see FIFA, your involvement, and also paving the way as a female who has achieved a lot and is doing a lot from your perspective? What's the years to come? How do you see that world shaping? Are we gonna change? Is FIFA gonna change his name to Meta like Facebook have done, or are they gonna introduce something different? So tell us a little bit.
Well, thank you so much. I have really enjoyed myself. Thank you for the great questions. I think that, 20 years from now or 10 years from now, I would like football, not just FIFA. I might work for FIFA, I might be elsewhere, but I would like football to be, I'm going to say, embracing diversity, but also embracing progressive thoughts, progressive thinking. And I think that we need to go back to the essence of football as a source for good, finding, purpose in sports. I think that very few things in the world have the power that football has, just because you can go to Africa, you can go to South America, you can go to Oceania, you can go anywhere around the world, and you will find people that love football. You will find people that you can connect with through that, and it just brings people together. And I think that we need to use that as a tool to change society, to make the world a better place. So yes, every year, the TV rights for the Premier League go up. And every year, maybe the champion of the Champions League gets more money. And every year, someone scores a more beautiful goal. So the things that happen strictly in football will keep happening, will keep developing. But I think that right now, something I would like to see is for more powerful football executives, clubs, stakeholders, sponsors and such, to realize of this power and to use it as a tool to make the community a better place. Like I said, I believe it's so powerful. I have countless anecdotes of times where I've been, had no friends, really had no one to talk to and such. And it just came up that because of football, I was able to connect with someone. Last year or 2 years ago, I was in Lisbon and I made a friend from Senegal because I am a big fan of Sadio Mane, right? We just talked about football, but then we talked about life, about traveling, about where he has lived, about his work, about my work. So I think it's a way that it connects you with people and it creates a lot of opportunities for social impact.
Wow, amazing, amazing. Pour notre audience francophone, j'ai demandé à notre invité d'imaginer comme Martin Luther King pour nous peindre une image du monde du futur avec tout ce qu'elle a appris avec le monde du sport et FIFA. Elle a parlé comment pour elle élever que le sport, ou précisément le foot, puisse être un instrument qui va encore faire beaucoup de bonnes choses dans ce monde, qui va vraiment encore connecter, parce qu'elle dit comme pour elle, à cause du monde de foot, elle a pu créer des amitiés, créer des opportunités qui n'allaient pas exister si ce n'était pas avec le moyen dont elle travaille avec. Donc, elle espère beaucoup de choses, que ça va vraiment amener la diversité, là où il y aura beaucoup d'opportunités pour beaucoup de montrer leur talent, montrer leur capacité. I think, Miss Karina, you've also helped a lot. A lot of people are loving your answer because what I love especially is because you're working for such a big organization, but you've been humble enough to take people's question and not really act like a PR, but also showing and say, hey, let me show you some of the stuff that you guys don't know what we do, and also trying to implement or what you think can be done. Most time, a lot of people try to swing one way or the other, but you have excellently, I'm sure FIFA should give you a bit of a raise or a new or a new position ahead. Yes, couple
Thank
of good
you.
comments here. Africa chair, they say very intelligent. People say well done, Karina. Thank you for the knowledge. From Africa Trade again, the Regan say football worldwide. Louise Shimo, yeah, she say great show. Thank you so much, Africa Trade Gospel Music. So we've been very, we can say blessed, because most time it's like because you live in a world where you can find information on social media, Google. So there's too many experts for everything. Even those are not supposed to be expert because they read somewhere. But it's always good when we have people like yourself that can come in and say, hey, I represent this. This is not all you know. Let me show you what you need to know. Is there any final word, any appreciation you'd like to give to someone out there?
So I would like to say thank you to you for having me. And I would also want to ask a question to the audience if anyone wants to answer. So I have not been to Africa yet, and I would love to go to Ghana. Like I mentioned, I want to see the Right to Dream Academy. But other than Ghana, what country should I start on? Just if I were to travel now that it's a little bit easier, with the pandemic, nobody could travel, but now that it's possible, where should I go?
Guys, you heard this. So she said, what country? There's so many countries there. I think it's also to, yeah, so there's already, we can say, Congo, DRC. There's so many countries. And I think it's also, yeah, see, there's a lot of support from DRC Congo. There's also a lot of other French nations that are out there. We've seen obviously 2002 where Senegal had a wonderful and a shocking result against France. There's
Yeah, yeah.
Africa, there's South Africa. So yeah, there's there's so I'm sure people gonna keep giving you more. Donc, demander comme le Ghana a déjà des initiatives créées par FIFA et dans le monde du sport. Quels sont d'autres pays qu'elle peut visiter? Donc, on a déjà ici beaucoup de suggestions. So I'm sure you have any suggestion, guys. Don't forget, you can show love by adding Karine on the social media and support. Let us support as people are doing well. They're doing amazing stuff. Let us show them love. Thank you so much, Karine, Carina, for honoring our invitation. And I'm sure it's not going to be the last time that we're going to meet as people, because there's so many things we're going to have to catch up with. Thank you so much, Karine.
Perfect. No, definitely. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the lovely conversation.
Beautiful. Have a lovely weekend.
You too. Bye.
Bye.